St. Maarten, and you need to decide what is the best things to see when you're going to St. Maarten. My name is Kelly. We were a family of 5 and we took Wonder of the Seas, and one of the excursions that we took was the open air double-decker bus tour that took you around the St. Maarten French and Dutch side. So when the Wonder of the Seas docked at the port is pretty busy. There are some restaurants, there are some shops, there are very easy access if you didn't have an excursion for water taxis and regular taxis. Sometimes I don't really feel comfortable doing that, but if you are comfortable doing that, this would be a great trial period for that because it literally was right there at the port and felt very comfortable being able to book that. But the thing that we booked was the excursion for the double-decker bus. And so it was a full double-decker bus. It was open air. So what the double-decker meant was you had outside on the top and then you had underneath on the bottom, no air conditioning. And I would say the top upper level got filled first. So, you just kind of file in and go into the bus seat. And they do say once you pick your seat, that is your seat for the remainder of the day. So if you were up top and you want to get in the shade down below later, unless you find somebody to trade with you, that'll be your seat, or vice versa. The day that we went, it was about 100 degrees. It was very hot and very sunny. And we thought we were going to want the upper level deck so we could see better, but we were actually really glad that we had below deck. There was nice breeze coming in, depending on the seat that you chose, because there were some levels to the seats. So there was a nice breeze. We had shade, so we didn't have to worry about the sun beating down on us all day. So from that perspective, keep that in mind when you're choosing your seat on that double-decker bus. And then it was about a 45-minute ride to the French side of the island. So if you're not aware, St. Maarten is divided into French and Dutch sides. And hopefully we'll be able to insert a picture. There's literally a middle point that has both flags and they work very collaboratively together. I don't know if this was true, but the tour guide will tell you why there was the middle flags and the steps that just determined those lines back when St. Maarten became St. Maarten. So stay tuned. If you know below, comment below. Do you know that story? And if so, is it true? So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, about how that occurred. But you go to the French side and the bus will pull in to more of a market type. So like that'll have some fresh pastries. It had hot dogs, and my son did get a fresh French pastry hot dog, pastry with the hot dog inside, and said it was delicious. Some shops, and my daughter did buy a few clothes. There was some reasonable handmade clothing there that was really nice as well. Probably the one complaint that we had was it was only 20 minutes there. And I would say it just wasn't enough time to really experience that area. And so my husband was a little disappointed that we didn't get more time there. There are bathrooms there too. So if you'd like to get bathroom or get a coffee. And I will say they run on time. So the bus was literally pulling out at the 20-minute mark, and there were people kind of running with their packages, and the bus did not stop, but it slowed down enough that the people could get back on the bus with their packages. So don't delay. Now, can you get a taxi? Yes, it's a small island, but if you really want to make sure you're staying on the bus, be on time to the time that they say. Then the next stop, we went to the Dutch side, which was Maho Beach. And if you haven't heard of Maho Beach, that is the beach that the airplanes literally come flying in over the ocean and land. And there are literal warning signs that talk about that you could be seriously injured at this beach. Unfortunately, when we were there, my boys were disappointed. There was no airplanes that came in and out. As we were leaving, there was an airplane that was coming in, but we were there in the morning. So a tip for you, if you want to see the bigger planes, most of the planes land in the afternoon. And we were there in the morning. So if that is something that's really important to you, pick your tour to Maho Beach in the afternoon to see those bigger planes. So my boys were a little disappointed, but we got, again, 20 minutes there, and there were some shops along the streets. Matter of fact, I got a bracelet there. My daughter got a little handmade purse, so there were some little shops there. There was a bar and grill that was there on the beach as well. And the beach is very narrow and there's a street behind it. So as the planes would come in, the danger is, the sand, the water, the debris will be flying around. But it is very narrow. So you could jump in the water if that's what you wanted to do for your 20 minutes, or you could just kind of go to the local shops and grab drinks. And again, it was only about 20 minutes that we were there and the bus was leaving. I will say the bus went a lot slower. We were waiting on one person who was gathering drinks. And her husband, she said, was actually talking to the driver like, she's coming, she's coming. So her husband was on the bus. He was waiting for his wife who was getting the drinks. The bus was being slow, but was kind of waiting a little bit longer, I would say, than maybe the first stop. But was kind of, and so she was able to get on. But he was kind of keeping his time schedule as he should. But just keep that in mind. Again, they're going to be on time. Then the next stop was the Toppers Rum and Distillery tasting. And this was really fun. We weren't sure about it when we got there. It's like I would call it more of like a shop. So how it works is they have, I think it was over 100 different rum flavors that they made there in St. Martin that you were able to experience or try out. You couldn't experience all 100. They had just a certain number that you were able to taste for free as part of your trip. And so you could see the different flavors, and they had rum cakes and they had different tastings. And our favorites were the banana and the vanilla and the cotton candy were our favorites as a family. But you were able to try those. And then they had like a whole wall that you also could try that wasn't part of that initial trying if you were going to be buying more. And so you could purchase different rums of your choosing. And we did purchase I have two, college age kids that are of age, and my husband and myself for some gifts. So we did purchase some because that was kind of a fun experience. And then they also had like rum ice cream, different flavors as well that you could also try if you want more of the non-alcoholic version, if you will. That was also very good. And so it said 20 minutes, but we actually got longer there. I don't know what the actual time was. I want to say it was probably closer to 30 minutes. And everybody was just really enjoying that experience of the rum tasting. So then after the rum tasting, you get back on the bus and everybody had their bottles of rum, and we'll talk about how you experience those on a cruise ship and get those back home here in a second. And then if time allows, they do make a stop that's a little bit closer to the port, about a mile from the port, that sells Dutch cheeses and other things that are Dutch. A really cute mart, kind of more of like a grocery mart, I would call it, that has different cheeses that the Dutch is known for and different items that the Dutch is known for. And that was kind of cute too. And we did buy some cheeses from the local mart there, and they'll give you a little cooler pack to put it in to be traveling back home with. And so that was quite fun as well. And you got 20 minutes there as well. And then you got back to the port. And in our case, since we were there in the morning, I think the whole excursion itself was 4 or 5 hours. We had the entire afternoon to do other things then. Again, the port is very nicely laid out. It was a very hot day. So from that perspective, it was pretty hot and we were all a little bit tired. But once we got refueled and refreshed and got something to eat and got something to drink, we really kind of enjoyed some of the shops and the bars and restaurants there at the port. When you go back onto the cruise ship, if you're on a cruise ship, when you're coming into security, and if you have your liquor bottles, they are duty free. So keep that in mind. So that is a plus. They're duty free, and so they were more reasonable. You have to go, once you get through the security, you have to go to an extra line. And at that extra line, they will actually take the liquor bottles from you and hold them until your last day. So they'll be in the packages, they'll have it in the packages, and then they'll deliver it to your stateroom the night before you leave. And it was really quite nice because the night before we left, before we started packing, they actually sent, I will call like padded liquor containers or little plastic disposable containers that you could put the liquor bottle in and seal it up, as well as whatever clothes or other things that you could pack it around. And so we were able to get all the bottles back home, distributed evenly amongst the checked luggage of my kids and husband, back home pretty easily, and nothing broke and everything was great. So we really enjoyed the excursion. So would we do it again? Now, my husband was a little disappointed again because he really wanted more time, particularly at Maho Beach and at the French side. But overall, we really enjoyed it. My oldest son, my 22-year-old son, he loved it. He thought it was great. He thought the timing of everything was great. He got to do everything he wanted to do. And all of us really enjoyed it as well, except we would have wanted more time. The next time we probably would take the water taxi or a taxi because it did feel so easy to get it there at the port, and people were speaking English, and it just felt very comfortable from our perspective. So yes, we would do it again. But we also might think about St. Maarten being a place that we could do on our own as well without actually having to book a formal excursion. Hopefully you found this helpful. Please give me a like and subscribe. It really helps move the channel forward, and take a look at this next video.